All right, now let's go to the global scene and see what's happening. One of the biggest news that we have is from DHL. DHL Express is suspending deliveries to the United States worth more than $800. So if any parcel that's higher than $800 would not be sent to the United States. So DHL is originating from Germany. It's a German company. They said because of a significant increase in red tape at customs following the introduction of President Donald Trump's new tariff regime, the delivery giant said it will temporarily stop shipments from companies in all countries to American consumers from today, Monday, until further notice. It adds that business-to-business shipments will still go ahead, though they may also face delays. Previously, packages worth up to $2,500 could enter the United States with minimal paperwork, but due to tighter customs checks that came into force alongside Trump's tariff earlier this month, that threshold has been lowered to $800. There we go to Japan, where Japanese super long government bonds drew a record foreign inflow last month as heightened risk aversion amid U.S. tariff policy banished securities law as a haven. Global funds bought a net of 2.18 trillion yen, that's about $15.5 billion of the nation's debt, with original maturities of more than 10 years. And this is according to Japan Securities Dealers Association. Net purchases across all tenures total 6.04 trillion yen. That's the second highest in record, dating back to 2004. Demand for Japanese debt has risen since March as the Trump administration's higher tariffs sparked a surge in markets. And then we move to China. China sharply reduced imports of many U.S. commodities last month, in some cases to zero, as the trade war between the two countries continue. Among the worst affected were purchases of liquefied natural gas and wheat, which both fell to nothing in March, according to Chinese customs data. The U.S. accounted for 17% of China's wheat imports last year. We haven't seen the end of this yet between U.S. and China. Still in China, it has warned that it will hit back at countries that make deals with the U.S. that hurt Beijing's interests as the trade war between the two countries continue. Now, let's find out what's happening in the U.K. Along with this, as other countries are retaliating. We haven't heard much from the U.K. government. Cousins, I guess, is what they are. Juliana joins us. Hi, Juliana. Good morning. Happy Easter to you.
Good morning. Happy Easter to you, Innie.
Yeah, so, I mean, we haven't really heard much from the UK amidst all the tariff wars, just China, US, China, US.
We haven't heard much. I think, you know, the Easter holidays, the Brits do take that quite seriously, Innie. So as we know that Parliament is actually on recess at the moment, so things have been pretty mellow. However, we are expecting to possibly see some sort of UK delegation in Washington, of course, because we know that the spring meetings kick off, where this time last year, Innie, we were both there. But we've both decided to sit back this year, although, of course, Channel TV will be having reports from there. And I think people are quite nervous. Of course, we got that devastating news just a couple of hours ago, didn't we, about the death of Pope Francis?
Yes.
And I think considering his leadership on the global stage was pretty vocal in terms of talking about climate change and talking about geopolitics, I do think leaders this morning will sit and stop and think. And you know, yes, it is all about Donald Trump. We know that we're a couple of weeks into that 90-day universal tariff pause. So at the moment, most countries, apart from China, are on this kind of level playing field of 10% levies. And that is going to be a massive talking point this week in Washington. We know that Nigeria, of course, are going to be present in a delegation led by the Honourable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, because this is quite serious, and time is ticking and running out, and I think countries may be more nervous because we just heard a couple of hours ago from China saying that whilst countries are negotiating for a fairer deal with the US, they should not think about backstabbing China. So there's a lot to play for. We're going to be hearing from the IMF chief, Christina Georgieva, tomorrow about the world outlook, but we know that they're already predicting global GDP to fall, I think from about 2.8 to 2.2%. So again, we kind of talk about this Trump tariff stuff as if it's just sound bites and a laugh, but it is quite serious, and I think that is definitely going to shape the theme of these IMF talks today, Annie.
Yeah, true, Juliana. That's all. I mean, I think that's all they're going to talk about. We already had that cotton raiser from World Bank President Ajay Banga. I've got a bit of that. And I mean, it's just all about the Trump tariff and the impact on different parts of the world. But let's leave that for a bit. Nigerians are very interested in traveling to the US, the UK top on the list. And we hear that the UK Home Office is updating its list of secure English language tests for visa, for citizenship. Do you know much about this?
Yeah, it's a very important update. And as you said, I think Nigerians in Nigeria are always very interested anytime there's an update from the Home Office, and for good reason. Because we know and we've seen on social media so many influencers taking advantage of, I wouldn't call them desperate, but certainly very, keen Nigerians to get out of the country into the United Kingdom. But there has been a significant update which has been announced on the Home Office website, basically for particular work visas, I think for skilled work visas and student visas, to successfully apply, you have to have a secured English language test. And there are various testing centres, both in Nigeria and in the UK, that have been approved for many reasons. Some of these centres have now been delisted, or some new centres have been added. So it's just very important for you to just double check, triple check. Don't, rely on somebody just because they have 1 million+ followers. We know how easy these followers are bought. Just check with the UK government Home Office website to ensure that you're ticking all the boxes so that you can obviously make sure that you're applying in a proper fashion.
Yeah, very important information there, Juliana. What else can we expect apart from, I know a lot of eyes and conversation will be coming from Washington, D.C., but anything from home, from your home, we should expect this?
Yes. Well, home is Nigeria. So we'll be relying on you. But this home, secondary home, as I said, so we've got Parliament in recess. Of course, we've got tributes pouring in, of course, for Pope Francis. As you know, 24-hour broadcasting this is the kind of death that the media are going to be all over. So, yes, I think Pope Francis is going to dominate this week. But really important, actually, J.D. Vance, the US Vice President, he is in India to, of course, with his Indian wife, which is quite interesting, kind of flashbacks of what we had with Rishi Sunak going to India. Just shows how geopolitically important they are. But this is important because Narendra Modi is he's kind of positioned himself as the leader of the global south, shall we say. But, they're not exempt from those tariffs. So it'd be interesting if we have any fiery comments about the global south, as we did when Vance was in Europe. But nothing yet on the horizon in the UK, but of course we'll be catching up, won't we, Annie? So I'll keep you updated as always.
Yeah, sure, thank you. And Juliana, I was wondering if the J.D. Vance Indian wife visitation is another strategy. We know that India is already like a big market for the US.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, so maybe
this is great for them. They go, and you can imagine the Indian press are like the Nigerian press, as we were with that wedding over the weekend, right? And so for India, they're loving this. She's getting the treatment. What is she wearing? They're going back to her village. It's very nice, and it shows the importance of the diaspora too.
Yeah, yes, Juliana, interesting one. Very interesting. Thank you so much, Juliana, and I do enjoy the holiday.
Thanks, Annie. Talk soon.
All right, so that's it on the program. We have to move to other things, but thank you so much for being a part of Business Morning on this Easter Monday. We'll do this again in a couple of hours. That'll be 1 p.m. Business Incorporated. Then you will get updates from the world of business here on Channels Television. I'm Ini John Mekwa. Talk to you later.